November 4th, 1914. Britain's ship, the Endurance, after crossing some stormy seas, is heading towards the world's most dangerous and mysterious continent, Antarctica. On board the ship is a crew of 28 men, and in command is an explorer, Sir Ernest Shackleton, who wants to do something that no one in history has ever done before: to cross the entire continent of Antarctica on foot. You heard that right. In an era with no smartphones, no GPS, no modern technology, he plans to cross this icy continent on foot from top to bottom in minus 50 degrees Celsius temperatures and blizzards, reaching the Antarctic coast through the Weddell Sea, landing at a precise point on the map, then trekking to the South Pole and onward to the Ross Sea, about 900 kilometers in roughly 120 days if everything goes according to plan. But how badly this plan fails, and what they must endure next, neither they could have imagined then, nor can you now. November 5th, 1914. Endurance reaches a whaling station on South Georgia Island, the last outpost of human civilization on their route. On the map, these islands lie near the tip of South America. Below them juts the Antarctic Peninsula, and alongside it the Weddell Sea. Hemmed in by Antarctica on three sides so the ice cannot escape, compacting into a dense near-permanent shield. The weather is foul. The Weddell is worse. Locals urge Shackleton to postpone, delay, or face a very dangerous fate. Shackleton is stubborn. It doesn't matter, we'll keep moving forward. December 5th, 1914. Endurance presses on. Soon what was feared arrives. The Weddell sea ice is far thicker and denser than expected. Still, Shackleton pushes. January 18th, 1915. After days along the ice edge, the ship is seized, trapped completely by the pack. A few days later, crew spot a 15-foot crack in the ice, 50 yards off a last hope. Engines roar at full for 3 hours. The ship doesn't move an inch. Men step onto the floe, axes and chisels in hand, trying to cut a channel. They fail. The floe itself begins to drift away from land. Vassal Bay, the intended landing point on the Antarctic mainland, recedes behind them until the ice-bound ship stands 60 miles distant. A ribbon of open water blocks any march to shore. Trapped in ice, unable to sail. Cut off from land, unable to walk, weeks turn to months. In that stalemate, winter approaches. Here, winter means 24-hour darkness for weeks, months no sun at all. Shackleton orders the men to winter aboard. Cold deepens. Snow loads, blizzards scour, pressure builds. The ice starts to crush the wooden bones of Endurance. Photographer Frank Hurley, camera in hand, captures images you can see on the screen. Floes rising and heaving, timbers groaning, the ship being slowly squeezed. September 30th, 1915. Visible cracks rip along the hull. Hope remains just. October 24th, 1915, 6:45 p.m. Sudden, violent pressure. The floe splits. A heavy sheet slams onto the ship. The stern post is shattered. Water pours in. The men swarm to pumps. For 3 days they heave the water out, but it rushes back faster. It's minus 8.5 degrees Celsius, and yet there's no panic, only action. Some men hack at pressure ice outside. It's not enough. Flooding worsens. The pressure does not relent. Shackleton makes the only call left. Abandon ship. Don't think we'll ever be able to return home now, says Tom McLeod, staring at the scene. The ship has been trapped more than 9 months. October 27th, 1915. A sound like an explosion. Shackleton turns. The stern has lurched 20 feet into the air. The rudder and stern post torn away. Timbers snapping, the bow flooding fast. The men are already off. Water on deck flashes to ice. The bow settles. The ship's front starts to sink. With Endurance goes the dream of crossing Antarctica on foot. Now the question is simpler and more terrible. Can they get home alive? No radio, no telephone, no contact with the outside world. They are adrift on a floe in the Antarctic Ocean, the floe itself drifting. On this ice, they pitch camp, they take inventory, 3 small boats, a sledge, a handful of personal items, roughly a month's rations. At night, space is so tight that many sleep on the ice bodies, huddled for warmth. Chance of a passing ship. Almost zero. No ships come here. They haven't seen another human for over a year. The world doesn't know if they live. No message can be sent. No help is coming. Shackleton has only his skill and experience and the will to keep men alive, but for how long can that alone sustain them? When food runs out, then what? The floe itself can break underfoot at any time. They need land. Shackleton calculates the nearest is Paulette Island, 550 kilometers away near the tip of Antarctica, ironically stocked with rescue gear after a Swedish ship's entrapment in 1903, gear Shackleton himself had purchased. Now 12 years later he depends on it. The crew prepare to strike for Paulette over ice, dragging supplies by sledge. To do it, Shackleton sets a hard rule. Each man may carry only essential items weighing up to 2 pounds. Nothing is more valuable than your life. He drops his gold and his Bible on the ice. Hurley has about 400 photos. He can take only 150 plates. Those 150 will become the world's memory of this ordeal weeks. Later, ravenous, they shoot the puppies. There is no other option. They load the boats and sledges. Each boat weighs about a ton. Dragging them is brutal. Summer returns. Temperatures creep up. The ice surface softens into mush, making every pull worse. After 3 hours of toil, they look back 1 mile. The way ahead is worse. Shackleton halts and establishes a camp to drift closer to land. They name the floe Ocean Camp. Shackleton assigns every man a job to ward off boredom and despair. November 21st, 1915. The floe heaves, endurance lurches, hangs, slowly slides under the ice and is gone. They had only moved a few kilometers. They watch the ship die, even abandoned. Seeing her sink feels like the last thread to the world snapping. Now there is only this ice and their ocean camp upon it. Days pass. Weeks. The floe drifts ceased away from land. December 23, 1915, Shackleton abandons Ocean Camp and tries once more to proceed on foot. After only a few kilometers, thin ice and open leads halt them. No way forward, no way back. They camp again on a new floe. To stretch food, Shackleton imposes strict rations: 1 biscuit a day, some diluted milk, a little cocoa, a smear of high-fat meat paste. They hunt seals and penguins as they can. Food is tight, but Shackleton often lies about quantities to keep spirits up. Don't worry, enough to keep us alive. He knows survival may take a very long time. Mental strength will matter most, just like in life's hardest trials. Months pass on the new floe. Thankfully, it drifts the right way. Days 2 weeks, weeks 2 months. The new year breaks. March 23, 1916. Shackleton peers through fog and glimpses mountains. Joinville Island. Not good news. It's at the northern tip of the peninsula. They've drifted so far. Paulette lies behind them now. Joinville is only 57 miles from Paulette, but to the west, at a right angle, with heavy ice between, impossible to cross. Shackleton looks north. Ahead lie only 2 islands, Clarence and Elephant. Beyond that, nothing for thousands of kilometers except open ocean, the Drake Passage, the most dangerous sea on Earth. Waves rise 12 meters. More than 20,000 sailors have died there. At least 800 ships have sunk. Even today in 2025, ships crossing sea mountains of water that shake the biggest hulls. If the floe carries them into the Drake, death is certain. Food is running low. The men choke down the least smelling scraps of rotten dog meat. For water, each keeps a small can of ice against the body, melting it to a sip or two. There are 28 men on the rolls, but officially there were meant to be 27. Back in August 1914, a 28th Blackborough stowed away after Shackleton had refused him. When discovered, Shackleton told him, "If we run short of food, you'll be the first to be eaten." Remember the miracle of Flight 571? People there resorted to the unthinkable. Many would rather die. Thankfully, Shackleton's men did not. Luck arrives. They kill a sea leopard and get about 1,000 pounds of meat. Later, many shoot their dogs for food. For months after, they do not starve. April 7, 1916. Clarence Island comes into view, 83 kilometers to the north. Hope rises and then the wind flips east. East means no island, no land. In hours, hope shatters. Their floe shrinks to 50 meters. It is dangerous now to stay. Shackleton orders all hands into the 3 boats for Clarence Island. The water is choked with floes and bergs. After a time, they find a firmer floe, disembark and camp. Cracks open almost immediately. A man, fireman Ernie Holness, plunges into the water. They yank him out, but the floe splits in the dark. Shackleton is marooned alone on one piece, the rest of the men drifting away on the other. Commands vanish with the distance. From the darkness, Shackleton's voice booms. Men launch a boat and bring him back. He asks first for Holness, who is shaking uncontrollably. Hypothermia, no fire is possible. Shackleton orders him to keep walking until his body heat dries his clothes. The boy walks all night. The clothes dry. The cold ebbs, the wind keeps veering. The flow swings like a compass needle. Targets change 4 times. First Clarence Island, then King George Island, then Hope Bay, finally Elephant Island, last land before the Drake, 160 kilometers northwest. As they drift north, the temperature rises to -8 degrees Celsius. Less ice means less fresh water. Water is gone, lips split and swell. Throats are so dry they can't swallow. Raw seal meat is issued so the blood will help food slide down. Elephant Island drifts closer. When it is only 50 kilometers off, Shackleton orders the boats launched for the final water run. April 15, 1916. All 3 boats touch shore. After 497 days, boots find solid ground. Having been through hell, this dead, uninhabited lump of rock seemed nothing short of heaven. Joy, but not safety. Blackborough's feet are lost to the cold. Rickinson suffers a heart attack but lives. Elephant Island is empty, no people, no supplies, no way to signal, no ships pass, how to get home. Shackleton checks the map. 3 options. 1. Cape Horn, 800 kilometers northwest. 2. The Falklands, 880 kilometers east of South America. 3. South Georgia, 1,300 kilometers northeast. The first 2 are closer, but through the worst of the Drake. Shackleton chooses South Georgia, believing wind and sea will favor that course. The men are too broken to all go. Shackleton selects a crew of 5 to accompany him in a single boat. The rest will remain on Elephant Island and build a camp. April 24, 1916. Shackleton and 5 men set out in the James Caird for South Georgia. Even this route nicks the Drake. There is no avoiding it entirely. In a small hand rowed, decked over lifeboat, they enter the world's most dangerous sea. They row for hours, rest for hours, trading oars and nausea. Rest means lying soaked while the boat shudders under green walls of water. It is April, the start of Antarctic winter. Sunlight lasts only a short while. Those thin hours let them shoot the sextant just enough to know whether they still aim at life or oblivion. Hours heap in 2 days. The boat floods again and again. They pump, they bail, once, twice. A single wave nearly ends everything. They survive by luck, skill, and a grip that does not loosen. Food is packed, but there is barely space to sit upright to eat. They swallow lying down. Even Shackleton feels his courage fray. When a small bird hovers over the boat, he curses it in frustration. Yet they go on, or by or. South Georgia draws near 3 miles. A storm rips down. They are flung back. When the winds ease and the clouds thin, the island stands 1 mile off. Every man spends the last coin of strength. After 3 weeks of storms, darkness, and cold, they crawl ashore on May 10, 1916. This is the same island they left 522 days ago. They embrace, alive, but they have landed on the wrong side. South Georgia is over 100 kilometers long. The whaling stations lie on the far coast. Ways exist. Re-embark and sail 130 miles by sea around the island or walk across it. The walk is only 29 miles. The interior is a barricade of dangerous, unmapped mountains no one has ever crossed on foot. The boat is too beaten to risk the sea route that leaves the impossible. They shelter in a cave 9 days to rebuild strength, dining on albatross, seals, and penguins. No shortage of food here. May 19, 1916, around 3 a.m., they leave King Haakon Bay. Shackleton takes Worsley and Crean coming. And after consultation, we decided to leave the sleeping bags behind and make the journey in 1 march. No one knows the way. Snow is knee-deep. The mountains are so high the world ends at each ridge. They climb 1 mountain, scout, find a cliff or a gulf, turn back, descend, try another. Disappointment follows each summit. At last they face a vast, steep, dangerous slope. Retreat is cut off, mist drifts. It was useless to continue in this fashion. They braid a rope around their waists and start cutting steps, literally staircasing themselves down ice with adze and will. Far below, the gray geometry of roofs appears. Stromness Whaling Station. After 36 hours of continuous climbing and descent, May 20th, 1916, Shackleton, Worsley, and Green step into Stromness, the first humans in history to cross South Georgia on foot. Decades will pass before expert climbers repeat it, and they'll bring tents and sleeping bags. Shackleton had none of that, only courage, spirit, and determination. They are unrecognizable, beards wild, faces blackened, only eyes clear. Clothing in tatters, the station manager realizes who stands before him, the man believed dead for 2 years. They are fed, clothed, given beds. Next day, Worsley sails a boat to King Haakon Bay to rescue the 3 men still waiting on the far shore. But Shackleton's mind is on Elephant Island. It has been more than a month since he saw those 22 men. Are they alive? Could anyone in that place stay hopeful without knowing if the captain survived the Drake or if anyone is coming? How long could a person keep faith? Shackleton tries to reach them. A rescue ship gets stuck in ice. He tries again, turned back. A third time ice again. 3 months, 3 failures. Anxiety mounts. He begs the British government for an icebreaker. They assign Discovery, but it will take weeks. Shackleton will not wait. He appeals to Chile. They grant the Yelcho, August 25, 1916. He sails again. 6 days later, August 30th, they sight Elephant Island, and what they see floors them. Shackleton had known those left behind would need leadership. He made Frank Wild their chief. Under Wild's command, the 22 men flipped 2 boats to make a shelter and lived under them for 128 days, hunting penguins and seals. Each morning, in cold, hunger, and creeping despair, Wild told them the same words. "Pack up, boys, the boss might come today." Boss meant Shackleton. The boss did not come. Days bled 2 weeks. Weeks, 2 months. Wild climbed a hill each morning to scan for a ship, and each evening returned alone. After 4 months, courage thinned. Blackborough's foot went bad, gangrene. They amputated it. With each day, many believed Shackleton had not made it. Maybe the James Caird sank. For months and 6 days after Shackleton left, Wild decides they must move. The men pack for real this time, not for hope but to take their boat and try for Deception Island. Before they push off, someone points to a shape offshore. A ship is coming. It is the Yelcho. As it closes, they see their commander on deck. The boss, Shackleton, stares at the faces on the beach. All 22 are alive. Not one had let go. After nearly 2 years of fighting ice, sea, and mountains, Shackleton brings his men home. When we landed them on the shores of South America, they could hardly put one foot before another. It feels like a miracle. Shackleton had left with 27 men and returned with 27 men. More than a century later, in 2022, an expedition found endurance 10,000 feet down in the Weddell Sea. The state of preservation is absolutely brilliant. There are no wood-eating parasites in the Weddell Sea. The photographs are astonishing, timbers and letters still crisp after 106 years in polar dark, and on South Georgia today stands Shackleton's grave. He set out to make his name as the first to cross Antarctica on foot. He failed at that. What he achieved was rarer. In a place designed to kill, he brought every one of his men back alive.